How long were you in America for?
You were in America?
Yeah, for 1 year. For 1 year.
1 year?
For studying English.
Whereabouts?
Huh?
Whereabouts?
It's a state college in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
And then
Pittsburgh or Philadelphia?
It's lower than the Pittsburgh. The state college is.
Is there a city name?
Yes, it is.
What?
There is a Penn State University in the state college, the town. It's a very small countryside, but it's good.
Cool.
It's very quiet.
And you said you're the founder. You started the church, right?
I was the member of the founder. So we were 28
The founding
members.
fathers.
Yes, right.
The founding members.
With the pastor.
Okay.
With the pastor.
You're the pastor too?
No, I'm not.
No, the pastor and then 25 other
25,
guys
yeah, 25 people altogether. We were college students at that time.
Wow.
Cool.
I'm really interested in this.
Oh, really? Okay.
Teach me. So, one of the founders.
One of the founders, right?
Okay.
Let's bring it in. All right, welcome to another episode of This Korean Life, number 128, featuring Caleb. English name Caleb, Korean name?
Bong-Gi.
Kim Bong-Gi.
Correct.
I like it. That has a good rhythm to it.
Oh, really?
Kim Bong-Gi.
Kim Bong-Gi.
I like it. Welcome. Longtime friends. We were neighbors back in the day. Now you've moved to where I used to live, and I'm living where we used to live together. Right?
Right.
Same. We're from the same hood. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, it's very nice to meet you and finally sit down and pick your brain about about some things that I think me and Nate are pretty curious about. And I think it's a good chance for listeners to open their mind to some new things while being here in Korea. Anyways, do you want to give like a little self-introduction?
Okay.
I'm
Hi.
CEO of Caleb English. Good.
I'm not a CEO. My wife is CEO. I'm one of the teachers in my academy. And, my name is Mr. Caleb, and I'm 44 years old in Korean age. And
that 1980?
1992. It's
1980년?
You just became 34.
82.
Yeah, 82. Okay.
82, right?
All right. Me and Nate had the pleasure of doing winter school with your wonderful students there.
Right.
And we were not surprised, but the first few days before your Hagwon was totally ready, we started. The class was held in the church that. Or in the library of the church. We weren't doing verb conjugations at the altar. We were in the library.
Right.
We were in the library there. And since I've known you and your wife, you are people of faith. What led you to, or have you always been religious? When did your belief begin? Was that from childhood? Was that later in life?
Yeah, it was my childhood life. When I was age of 5, my mother went to the church with some people, some person. At the time, I also came to the church with my mother.
Yep.
It was my first step at the church. At the time, I didn't have any faith. I just want to play with my friends at church.
Yeah.
They're good. We play baseball together. We play soccer together. Every sport I did. The church members. That's also my first memory.
Did you ever ask your mom why she went the first time, or? I think, I don't know, growing up in Canada, I went because my family was Catholic, and we just went to church, and that's what their family had done, and their family. But Christianity in Korea is not that old in comparison to other countries.
Right.
And Christianity had kind of been brought over by a lot of the missionaries. So you do find a lot of people that have converted or become Christian later in life, not necessarily from the beginning of their family. Do you know why your mom went the first time?
It was actually my mom's side was Christianity, and then my mom didn't go to the church when I was 5, but she had a very hard life at the time, like economic problem or family problem like this. So she thought that she want to have a rest to comfort herself. So she tried to find out any other things.
Yeah.
At the time, one of the church members brought my mom to the church. So I came there together. It was the first action, and then my father's side was Buddhist.
Yeah.
And my mom, my grandmother was how should I say that? Bring like a ghost. The people who bring
spirits.
the ghost.
The monks?
Monks, like the monks.
Shamanism?
Shamanism, right.
Yeah,
So when I was a child, my grandmother had a very big, very big knife like this.
Oh, yeah.
Sword,
The big swords, yeah.
Big sword.
We used to see those guys at Campo.
Yeah.
At Campo Heisiokjang, and they had
right.
Munmu, King Munmu's tomb.
Oh, you're right,
Yeah.
like that.
They'd be sharpening their swords at midnight,
right.
and
Yes, right. So
I've seen them kill a goat one time.
Right. I played like this when I was 4 or 3 years old. I played the big sword. It's a real sword. Very dangerous. My mom was shocked when I play like this.
Yeah,
Right.
sure.
Huh.
That's funny. How does someone choose a denomination in Korea? I find a lot of my students, right? A lot of them have churches that near their house. So I have some sisters that I teach, and they are Protestant, and I'm like, "Oh, where's your church?" Like, "Oh, it's right here. It's next door." Sometimes do people choose their denomination of Christianity or whatever based on location? Like, I live here. This is the closest church, or is it more of a deep thought, like, I my values align with this church, I choose this?
I think the people in Korea has a very lack of knowledge of denominations, like Baptist or like other things. They don't know not in detail. But if in this case, in my case, my mom's side is Methodist church, and I grew at the Methodist church, and I learned about the culture of Methodist. But I changed it to my denomination, to the Baptist. But in this case, I think it's kind of a spiritual conversation like this.
Yep.
I think God lead me to the Baptist.
Okay.
And then I lived in the Baptist church. I don't find out any other big difference between Methodist and Baptist.
That was my next question.
Yeah,
What's
right.
so why change?
I think it's just church. But my point of view is the pastor's preaching. The preach is very fascinating for me, and I decided to attend the church. Like
So
this.
there was a very charismatic pastor.
Yeah, right.
That
right.
made you kind of think, oh, maybe this is a better.
Yeah, right.
This is a better way
right,
to go.
Right. So denomination is not important for the Korean people to choose the church.
Growing up, my grandfather. So growing up in Niagara Falls, I lived close to my Italian grandparents.
Oh, okay.
They were Catholic. I went to Catholic school. My mom's parents were Protestant, and an ongoing joke that my grandpa used to say, like, if we got a low score on a test, if we whatever, you're playing outside, he throws the ball and you drop it. The punchline to all his jokes were, it's because you're Catholic. Oh, it's because you're not Protestant. A good Protestant would do A. You're a Catholic, you did B. You know, it wasn't insulting at all. It was just kind of an ongoing joke.
Okay.
From what I know, the difference between Catholic and Protestant would be the belief in Mary being like someone special and just being a regular old ajumma. What is the belief of the Baptist Church compared to standard Christianity or Catholicism? Is there a big Catholic versus Protestant. Mary is not special. That would probably be the biggest distinguishing factor.
Big differentiation. Baptist, I'm not actually.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know either.
Okay.
But because I don't find out any other difference. My original Methodist or other things.
Oh, okay. So maybe so you haven't studied Christianity, so you can't compare the two kind of. Is there any? I was gonna say outstanding beliefs of that.
One thing that I remember is it's more how should I say that, very old-fashioned in Baptist.
Okay. For example.
For the service is very should I say that, it's not a passive, but it's very strict.
Okay.
Read it like this. The Methodist is much more open-minded.
Oh, okay,
like,
okay.
That's the difference.
Baptist is more conservative.
Yes, right.
Oh,
Conservative,
okay.
conservative,
Okay.
right.
No
Church,
playing handphone
yeah,
games.
Right. At church, at first, the Baptist didn't allow to speak out when they pray. When we pray.
Okay.
Speak out like speak in silence.
Okay.
But in the Methodist, I prayed like shouting or something like this.
Ah, okay.
But nowadays, these days, the Baptist also changing, and my church can allow us to shout because I'm very chopped like this.
Yeah.
If you mind.
It's getting louder. Yeah.
Right. And sometimes I shout when I pray.
Nice.
Like, my God, like this.
Nice.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
So just for some numbers for the listeners, in 1945, only 2% of the country was Christian.
Oh, really?
In 1945. So just to put in perspective, how this is still, in terms of history, is relatively new. In 1991, it was 25%.
Oh,
Crikey.
okay.
So it jumped quite a bit, 18% Protestant, 7% Catholic, and as of last year, 31% of Koreans identify as Christians. So it's come quite a bit, and it appears to have gained all the momentum after the war. It seems to have taken a drastic increase.
Right.
I have a theory on that.
What's
Why it's imagine the early. It's half joking, but there could be some truth to it. Imagine, the missionaries come here, and they're pleading their case for, come on, you got to come to our side. You know, enough with Buddhism. Come on, you got to come over here. What is the and the people are asking, what is the benefit of joining your church? And they lean in, they go, you don't have to do jesa. You don't have to cook for the in-laws.
Right.
Like, all right, you got me.
All right, one of the reasons, right?
I wonder how many converts.
All right.
Anyways, yeah.
At first, the missionary or the pastor in 1995,
Yeah.
they gave sugars or rice.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
Right. That's
To
why
who?
people came together because we were very poor at the time.
So I was going to ask about this. When you said your mother was going through a rough time and stuff. Until the mid 80s, maybe late 80s, North Korea still had a much stronger economy than South Korea.
Sure.
And so, I mean, just if people can't get the perspective on that, like, imagine the inverse of it now. But it was a very, very poor country in the 80s. Very poor.
Very poor, right.
So I can imagine, when you say hardship or hard times, I don't think most Western people from my generation can understand what hard times like that means.
Okay.
Because we are roughly the same age.
All right.
But you grew up in a very, very impoverished country.
Right.
Where I think Canada was pretty well off at the time. Can you talk a little bit about that? About what it was like growing up at that time?
It's like, for example, when I was 7 years old, I was sick, but we have no money to go to the hospital or go to pharmacy. So my mom sat next to me, and I was lying, and she prayed. Only that thing, it was what she could do. Right, like this.
Yeah.
Or one time she bought Sprite, in Korea, cider.
Yeah.
And that was a very precious beverage for me. And she hid the cider on the closet.
Yeah.
But I knew that cider is in my house. I was looking for all the house, and I found it, but I couldn't because my mom knew that I could find the cider, and she put it on the ceiling.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, right.
Top
I was
shelf.
looking, and then
Sure.
like this.
Oh,
It's very
wow.
very important economically, right?
What a. This is so different from how we grew up.
Oh, really?
And
How was that?
What? I mean, you want a cider? No, I don't like cider. I want root beer. We don't have root beer. Okay, cream soda is fine. You got to,
It was $5 a case.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, you can go to No Frills and pick it up for $2.99 on some days. But it was just maybe everything in abundance, and I think because of that, we're less appreciative of. Well, when you have a cider today, you can reflect on like, oh, I remember back in the day how special that was. You know,
Right,
where it's
right.
not as special for us.
So coming through those times and then starting to go to church, can you just talk about kind of growing up in the church and what it's like? Was it, I used to go every Sunday, maybe around 10 a.m. We'd go there. I got 4 brothers and sisters, and it was a family. We would see all the people. We knew so many of the people from the community. I would say a medium-sized church, and after, sometimes in the hall there was donuts and coffee. Sometimes there was nothing, and you'd go out for brunch or breakfast with other families. Sometimes we go to your house. Next week maybe you guys come to my house and the kids play. And it was a real, looking back and reflecting, it was a really cool community that is obviously lacking in many ways these days, where the individualistic tendencies have kind of taken over. But yeah, looking back, we had a really tight community, a tight group, and I don't know if we necessarily looked forward to going to church, but I think when we were kids, it was kind of like you say, it was kind of like just a community and a place to enjoy and play and hang out, because we would go to Sunday school, and then as you go through First Communion, confirmation, etc., it starts getting a little more serious.
Don't forget confession.
But grandmas and aunties always had sweets in their pockets, and they'd always say, "Where's the kids? Where's the kids?" and give you some candies, and we always knew which grandmas to go say hi to, because they always had something for us. So in that way, yeah, it was cool. As we got older, into the drinking years,
Sunday morning
Sunday was pretty painful. You know, bringing 2 or 3 hungover, and I don't mean 18, because it was before 18, but yeah. Once you get into maybe those teenage years, 15, 16, it becomes not so fun anymore.
That's
but definitely the primary years, there was a lot of fun. What was it like for you? Initially 5, 6 years old, and then moving forward, was it once a week? Was it 3 times a week? Did you have special events? What was it like?
It's like when I was a kid, I like to play, like you said, I like to play with my friends, or also many adults gave us many things when I church. That's the very good factor for attending church. Benefit. And then when I grew like this in this life, my primary importance is to get the truth from the church, because I attend and I listen to the preaching. Every preaching I found like a motivation of my life, like this. So it's not the same as every Sunday. Every Sunday can change the preaches, the motivations. It's like the church drag me to the church again. Like
my dad dragged me, or my mom dragged me.
Really? Actually, I went.
The benefits weren't that great. I mean,
right.
it wasn't calling me that strongly.
But that's the individual difference, yeah.
You're right.
What just in terms of each gospel or each sermon spoke differently. We grew up with, I mean, the priests were like our family friends, because you see them every week and you talk to them, and they're friendly, easygoing guys. But it wasn't until my family moved to a different city, quite a ways away, in Winnipeg, and they started going to a church there. I wasn't living there. I was playing hockey and coming back. And the priest showed up on a Harley Davidson And he had cowboy boots and a jacket. And I was like, now this is a guy I can relate to this guy. The other guys always wore the
leather jacket.
no. They always
The original
guys wore the cloaks or the garb, and they were kind of maybe too priesty. This guy was the guy, and he was a normal guy, so you could kind of relate. So when he got there, he would put on his whatever, but you knew he was. And his stories and his sermons were all based on like what happened this week in the grocery store, and what happened at his kid's hockey practice or something, or something like this, or his nephew's practice or whatever. But then I was kind of more attracted and engaged, and I think he even played a guitar maybe. So that was more engaging for me. But what about for you? Was it just the word of the gospel, or was it who's delivering it?
It's based on the actual Bible. Bible is important. Every truth is in the Bible, and that's why I believe. And then the pastor preach is also from the based on the Bible. And then the life, any life, his experience is like an example of the Bible. And when he reflects his life on the Bible, then that's the very trustful, like this, right, like this. And this is also the reason why I changed my denomination from Methodist to the Baptist. In the Methodist church, I also listen to like this preaching, like you said, and then now the pastor always study and study the Bible, and he made his preaching like
sermon.
Sermon, and that's for me it's very trustable and attractive.
I think the old way in the Catholic Church was always just straight out of the Bible, and I just don't recall a lot of real life connection, but maybe it was because I was too young. But definitely once I got older, I think it's an important skill for a priest or pastor to have, to be able to connect real life and current culture with references from the Bible.
Right.
Because if you can't, I think a lot of people find the Bible dry and maybe boring. I mean, not that it's really devoted people. So if you're trying to get the outsiders or the fringe or other people, you have to be able to connect those ones. So, and especially these days, I mean, we've seen the church go from one side to the other in Canada, and it's very, very different now. So there's a lot of maybe bling or things to get people in. Like now there's rock and roll bands, and big screen TVs, especially the evangelical churches.
That was a crazy thing for me.
Theater seating.
When I came here, someone said like, "Yeah, man, Korean churches have TVs," and I was like, "What? That's not." Again, growing up in a similar circumstance as him, where everything was very traditional, the clothes, everything. There was like zero tech. Oh, they might have had a microphone or something, but
really?
Hearing about TVs in church, I was like, "Whoa, that's wild!" Yeah, but now that's pretty standard.
But I think that delay in evolving kind of made a lot of people disinterested in the church.
Yeah, sure.
And now they're trying to bring them back in. But I think a lot of people kind of got lost there. Tell me if this analogy is true. I find a connection between like exercise, the sauna, and the church. That many people go when they're either young or when they're old. But between that, like high school to getting married, people kind of abandon the sauna, the church, and exercise.
Oh, really?
Like exercising, you see a lot of, the mountains, the bike paths, the running.
Okay.
It's all ajushi, ajima, grandma, right?
Right.
Men and women. And at the sauna is the same. You don't see any university, high school students at the sauna.
Right.
And at church, you don't see a lot of that age of students either. Or the young people think they're going to get connected to get married, sogeting or something. And so is that an accurate analogy or no?
I'm not sure. Actually, for me, it's a very new story for me either.
Just based on my observations and my experiences in Korea.
Actually, I was very. I also have a question about that. Many young people don't go anywhere on Sunday and any other holidays, and I think they are just hiding at home like this.
Yeah.
also my question, because my church always tried to work for the university student, Ulsan university student, but only one or
If it's
two
you
people.
against YouTube, I guarantee you, YouTube's going to win.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Sure. They have a hard time coming to class.
You're right.
So, I mean, yeah. So around that age, and even before phones, I think, though, you kind of get less interested. There's more going on. There's more clubs, groups, influences on your life than just your parents. Most university kids move out to the dormitories here. So when you don't have that person saying, hey, let's go, then it kind of just disappears from your life.
All right.
Another interesting thing, growing up in Catholic church, it was just, I guess you'd say like a medium-sized church, and people from Catholic school went there, and I guess if you lived around there, that was the place where you went. Interestingly, in Korea, you have many small churches found all around. And I remember, I think it's Hanbit Church.
Hanbit
Do you know
Church,
that's over by
that's one of the big church in Mugodong.
Okay, and that's
Right.
up near Hanshin-Hugh.
Yeah, right.
So I used to walk up there to get the bus to go to Hagwon back in the day. And when I first started reading Hangul, they had a huge banner like recruiting new members, which was a very foreign concept for me. I always just imagined like you're a person who goes to church or you're a person who doesn't. And recruiting members almost sounded like like you're building a football team or something.
Okay.
Is that a part of small churches to keep them sustainable? Like, is there an ongoing process of recruitment? And maybe you can speak a little bit to how you recruit. What's the
I don't think they use the word recruit as a recruit. Maybe it's like come to the church, like this slogan.
Yeah. It was in Hungary.
New members welcome.
New member, it's welcome. It's
Okay,
welcome.
okay.
Not just recruiting, just come here.
Okay.
Like this member.
All right. And how, other than a sign in front of the in front of the church, is there, without using the word recruiting, how do you gain new members? Is it just
Word of mouth.
excuse me, simply opening the doors?
You're right. We changed the strategy in these days. Maybe 5 or 10 years old, we go to the university or new place and then give some brochures like this, and just come to the church. We have a very special worship service like this. But in this time, we use the internet. We open the Instagram, we open Naver, the blog like this. And then these days, people never come to the church when they want. When they want to go to the church, they search on the internet, first of all, and then find out the church is original church, or the church is very trustful.
Oh, okay,
and
trustworthy.
And then they came, right.
Not like that Shincheonji.
Like this, right.
So what was it like in the past when you would kind of, sorry for the lack of a better term, recruit? What was it like? Did you, like he says, the church wasn't really it kind of was maybe underneath, but it wasn't seen as a place of business, where now a lot of churches in North America are huge, multi-million-dollar businesses, and recruiting is a huge part of that, and social media is a huge part, and they're run like a business. But when I went to church, maybe I was again too young or naive to understand, but I didn't ever get a feeling that people were recruiting members for our church. That if you had someone who was looking, or a family member, or a friend, by all means bring them. But if they come or don't come, we're self-sustaining, and nobody's looking to make more money. The diocese provides whatever for the priests, and they lived in like a gisuksa on the site, and that was it. But now they got helicopters and jets and mansions and boats, and now it's so different.
Grills.
So if you were meant to be like recruiting, and I see kind of some of this at home, it seems kind of devious or like there's bad intentions, that you're trying to convince someone to come. Is there any guilty feeling in that, or? Some of the university students, my students, catch me in front of Urteap and say, "Hi, the Church of," and I say, "Jaewon, Like, oh, professor. And I'm like, what are you doing out? That's the best English you ever spoke. You didn't even speak that in class. So Wagogians are often targets of churches, the Church of Latter-day Saints, the Jehovah's, regularly, whether it's knocking on the door on a Sunday morning or Saturday morning. Oh, who's that? The Gwali Ajashi or somebody else? But I know how I feel when they try and I've had them follow me on the buses years ago. Follow me on the buses for 20, 30 minutes.
Oh, really?
And wait till I get off and tap on the shoulder. Whoa, are you going the same place I am? So it's a very awkward feeling. And I don't like that.
Depends
to tell them to
your-
get lost or take a hike.
Depends on your denomination, because I think a lot of them, or maybe Jehovah's too, they feel like they're saving you, and if they don't,
So that's what I'm asking. Like, what was it like before social media used to attract people? What was it like before when you were?
When I was a kid, the evangelists in the church did like this: follow the people and explain. At that time, we were very naive. Naive. So the people understood and go to the church. It works at the time. It works really. That's why it is still working. They think it's still working and chasing you.
Yeah,
23 minutes, okay, like this. But the time goes by. We at the church. A church makes a special worship for the special people, the newcomer, like this university student. Then church make the service only for the university student, like this.
Okay.
Then when they come, they get together, have a worship together, and then they church want to the people get together to make a strong bond, strong
Connections.
And in the connection, there can be a community. In the community, they can share the story deep in their mind, like this.
When are those people integrated into the regular service?
It depends on.
Like if you get 3 new students, you do special services just for them? You don't invite them to the
Sometimes,
main
yes,
main
right.
service?
We have a main service is very conservative, and then we can open the other service, like for university, for kids, like
Custom.
this. Right. It's it's for example, we had a foreigner service 3 or 4 years, because at that time foreigner came here, 7 people came together, so we were very considering about them, and then so we decided to make other service for foreigners, the English service, like this. It's a very specific situation at the time.
The big Catholic Church has an English service
Oh, really?
for all the Filipinos. Yeah, it's a big. I mean, the Filipino community is very Catholic, and they're very. They participate well in services on Sundays.
Journey Church as well. Are you familiar with them?
Journey Church?
Journey Church. It's
What was that?
non-denominational. Anyone can come and everyone is welcome.
Oh, really?
Church,
There's 2 or 3 that cater predominantly to foreigners.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, Journey.
which is pretty cool.
You talked about the trust and maybe how some of these tactics are used. Shin Chong-ji became maybe more prominent from around when Park Geun-hye was arrested and during Corona. It made some big news from Daegu. I imagine they dissolve a lot of the trust in the public. Can you speak of the average person or a new member of the church? Lots of the international university students that live on the far side.
Oh, really?
By the college campus. There's a Shin Chong-ji church at the back there,
right.
a big one. They're walking up and down the border of campus all the time.
Right.
And they're always trying to recruit. And they try and give you
recruit.
this, give you this, give you this, give you this,
Right.
come. And the students don't know what to do. They just say, oh, free something, okay. They don't realize what's going on. So what does that do for the other churches like yours? If you say you do it online and you try to attract people like that, what is the how does that affect you when there's groups like Shincheonji out there doing their own kind of manipulative tactics?
Actually, it's very hard to distinguish that is Shincheonji. It's very hard because
they don't want it to be easy.
Yeah, right. And in Shincheonji, they sent the missionary to the church to bring the people to the Shincheonji like this. So they are called harvester. Harvester.
So there might be a harvester at your church waiting to harvest?
It was one man went to the church. He was the harvester.
No.
Yeah, right.
At your church?
At my church.
Wow.
How do you sniff that out?
Actually,
does he hit you with a dart and you wake up in the closet one day? You're like, oh.
I didn't know that. I just when I met him at the university, and he said, "I'm a university student, mechanical engineer like this." It's just normal university.
They're all normal, yeah.
Right. So
until Corona.
So I'm asking that. I was asking, are you interested in church, or shall we have a service together if you have available? So he said, I love to, and he went to the church, and we lived together at the time. We lived together, and he was very energetic, and he wanted to join. He liked to join.
That's because he's drinking the blood of the younger members, right?
But one day he disappeared. Actually, once every month he disappeared. So I asked, "Oh, where were you then?" I'm now at home. I think he was living far away, but he went to the Shincheonji to report what he did.
You see him in a black pants and white shirt. You're like,
Yeah,
I'm on to you, man.
If a family member ever goes missing, go to the Shincheonji church.
Oh, that's very.
So, I mean, Nate talked about building the trust within your congregation. What are the big distinctions? How can you know if you're in a cult in Korea? Like, what are the red flags? I think there's not even religious. Wasn't there a big cult in university? There's like a Netflix series on it. Do you know what I'm talking about? It was like a university group that slowly turned into a cult.
Oh,
and there's a Netflix thing on it. What are the red flags? 'Cause I think, like Nate said, a lot of especially foreign students, they might get brought in by like, hey, free lunch, which is cool. And I think it's very nice to offer free lunch. But how would you know, what are the red flags that people should watch out? Like, ooh, this might be a dangerous situation. Maybe you have an inside.
Free lunches.
No, I don't. No, I mean the Sheik or the Sikhs, they dude, like you said, they'll give free lunches.
That's different. You go there voluntarily. You just go there. It's not people promoting it or handing out coupons or pamphlets or something around school.
Yeah.
Nobody try. I went to the Sikh temples all over the world offer free food, but you're expected to try and contribute in one way or another. And if you don't make a donation, then maybe you should wash dishes, or you should sweep, or you should help clean up, or you should cook, or whatever.
Well, it's like the Buddhist temple too.
And yeah, but you never feel like you're being recruited when you're at a Buddhist temple. They just do their thing, and it's very peaceful and relaxing. And and that was the same thing when you go in the Sikh temple. Cover your head, go in, eat a delicious lunch, and then help out with something. And if you're busy, sore, tired, whatever today, then you don't have to. But everybody kind of just follows it, and it works well. But
So maybe it's the recruiting tactics. Maybe like high pressure recruiting would be a red flag.
I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure, but it's okay to give a free lunch like this. That's not a red flag. What was that?
But I think the free lunch would be okay if you put it on your social media, or you went to a page where the university students hang out or whatever on a certain site, and you posted there's a free lunch at this church. Come if you want. Then they have to find that online. They have to say, okay, let's go, and then they have to actually go. That's different than you seeking them out in person and trying to convince or whatever.
Perhaps one would be you're not praying to a god. You're praying, or like the higher being or the higher power in the church is not God. It's a person. Would that be a good a reasonable thing to try and maybe stray away from?
It depends on. Sometimes yes, but generally we live in the normal life, so the people is very important. So sometimes.
Oh, I agree, but I mean, when you're praying as a Methodist, Baptist, sorry, as a former Methodist, current Baptist, you're praying to a God, a higher power.
Yeah, right.
Where I think is if you go to Shincheonji or usually Saibi, it's you're not praying to God. It's like you're praying to this guy.
Ah, okay.
Like North Korea, where you're praying to Kim Jong-Un.
Scientology.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're praying. Would that be a good indicator of like, ooh, we should watch out?
That's okay. I pray God. Maybe Shincheon also pray God, but some theory, how should I say? Some faith is difference, and that's the very dangerous point like this, because we pray God, we believe in God, but in Shincheonji they have how should I say the
That's the old 할아버지. A pope? Yeah.
Like a pope of their religion.
Yeah.
Like who was that?
He's got the direct line
Mr.
to
Kim.
Mr. Kim.
Mr. Kim.
Like
Mr. Kim with the hat.
Right.
I got a bulletproof car.
You're right. Their theory is like this: God sent Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus came here and he died and resurrected and go back to the heaven.
Yeah.
And he came again once again. He came again.
Yeah.
And his name is Mr. Kim, like this.
Ah,
That's their theory.
Mr. Kim from Mugadong.
Right. But at first, Shincheonji didn't say that Mr. Kim is Jesus. Only teach a Bible, just like in our church. Every church, it's just like the same church, normal church. And then the Shincheonji look over the guy who start to believe the Shincheonji, and then when they evaluate, then the guy has faith. At the time, they show that Jesus is Mr. Kim, like that. Then surprisingly,
the big reveal.
Yeah, right. Surprisingly, the guy didn't reject. He believed it. He believed it.
Well,
right.
sure. Once you're in,
when he dies, it becomes Mr. Lee.
You're right. Like, that's very.
Everybody gets to take a turn.
Dangerous one, and you're right.
So, just on the topic of this recruiting stuff here.
Okay, sure.
I live in Okdong. Namursan Church is across the street from my house.
Oh, okay.
Many people move to my apartment for two reasons. One, for their kids to go to Hagwons, so they don't have to drive and pick them up. And two, to go to the church.
Oh, really?
And probably 70% of my apartment block goes to that church.
Oh.
So, and we're good friends with like the head accountant and social coordinator. They're good friends of ours. And there's been multiple times where they invite us or whatever. Oh, just bring the girls with. So I just went one time.
Oh,
I just said, okay, let's just go. And we went. And in my church growing up was just one story, just the church with a hall in the back. And then there was like the residence for the priests and maybe a couple small rooms, but very, very small. In Korea, the bigger churches all have like 4 and 5 stories.
Right.
And so it was weird that the actual hall where the service is on like the 3rd floor or something, and it was awkward. Anyways, we were there proceeding pretty much like a regular mass like I would expect. And then with like, I always ask, like, how long is it? I'm not going for 4 hours. I'll go for a 1 hour service and I want to leave. And maybe when there was like 20 minutes left, all these people started coming in. And I was like, but it's almost over. Are they waiting for the next one? And then I started realizing that they're all old people. And then at the end of Mass, all these people line up and get free snacks and drinks.
Oh, really?
And they're all like older people, 65, 75, 85.
Okay.
And so they all line up and they get like maybe like a coffee or a juice box or a milk and some snacks. And then they say, oh, and they give them chanan. They give them all chanan.
Really?
And I was like, wow. So I asked, I was like, are these people from the church? And they said, no, this is like our outreach. This is our community support. We support in the community. And I just thought, again, I get the help the poor, but it just seems like such a kind of sleazy way to do it. They make them come in, they say, come at this time, listen to the last 10 minutes of Mass, and then you can get your free stuff. It just didn't sit well with me. I don't know. I prefer you went outside in the parking lot and just said, here's your thing, here's your thing, here's your thing. So is this giving of stuff very common? And is it still used as a way to... So these old people think, oh, the church people are great. They always give us stuff, which is good, but then it's kind of like an NGO, I guess, or a nonprofit,
Right.
which the church is kind of supposed to be like anyway. So maybe my thing was just that they had to come into church, sit down, listen a little bit, and then... But they had no intention. They were only there for snacks, drinks, and the chanan.
Right. I don't think that's the way to bring people come to the church, but it's one of the church's
Tactics.
tactics or obligations to help poor people. But these days, poor people never come to the church alone because it's very envy.
Yeah.
Right. So when they come all together, like this community service, the poor people maybe 1 or 2% in there.
Yes.
Right.
And that's what I'm looking like. These people aren't poor people.
Oh, really?
They're just grandpas like hanging out, and they're like, hey, let's go get the free goodies, like at Costco. Shishik at Costco. And I don't mean like 10, I mean like 100 or 150. And I was like, there's more people lined up for the free goodies than there are listening to the service. What is this?
Well, I don't know. I never attend a big church actually.
Why is there so many
So many what?
So many
small churches? So I would say in Canada there's medium churches and a few big churches and a few mega churches.
Okay.
But in Korea there's a million small, like, for people that don't understand, it's like the 5th floor of this apartment. It's like the 3rd floor of that office building. They're not. They don't look like churches. They just have a sign, a billboard.
Right.
They're not an actual
Cathedral.
or like a regular place of worship where you go to a specific single location. Lots of them are like a strip mall or these kind of things. Why is there so many?
You're right. In my ages, when I was a kid, my ages, people, the children go to church a lot. A lot of children go to church and they grow, and many of them committed themselves. I serve for you, God, and they go to the Christian university. How should I say that?
Yeah, Christian
University to be a pastor like this. So these days there are many pastors in Korea now.
So everyone wants to speak their own word, their own
Their own. So what do? They serve for one group, serve for the big church, and the other group is to make their own church like this. In Ulsan, there are not many churches as in Seoul. In Seoul, every building has a church. Every building.
Wild,
right?
Which blows my mind. But there's a lot here. If I walk from here to his apartment, Okyeongjugong, I pass like probably 50 churches.
Yeah.
In Canada, you would pass one.
Oh no! Right.
Which is...
Yeah, there is a lot of churches on the way to Rams,
Dude,
there?
that just the back street in front of your place, there's like 8 of them. When you say they commit themselves, when they bring these guys, is there a baptism? How long does it take before they get baptized? Because that would be a significant
ages
lines,
right?
That if you got baptized, then maybe you have a bigger commitment. But I want to get back to the funding of them, but just the kind of foundation of these things. I wrote down here, moms and sons. You said you went with your mom to church. And I found when I was in elementary school, lots of kids went, but they only went with their mom or their friend's mom. And I got that down to, the priest says, or the pastor says, hey, bring your friends, bring your friends, bring your friends. So Johnny says, hey, Bob, Timmy, Jamie, you want to come to church? We eat pizza and play soccer. Okay, sure. And that's how they get them into church. We never played sports at church. I mean, we had a hall, but that was for like a bazaar or a special event. But it wasn't for sports. I mean, we never got pizza at church. So it was like pretty traditional church. But I found like they were always fishing for these moms to bring their kids' friends. So when you say you went with your mom, it didn't surprise me because in Canada you go as a family. Traditionally, when I grew up. But in Korea, it seems like a lot of moms and kids and not many ajashis.
Not many others, right?
What is the not conversion rate, but like, is it once you get baptized, like you feel like you now it's your job to help maybe bring in more people, or when do they get baptized? Because for me, that seems like a significant line.
Actually, we have a special age, like 18 years old, and which is the age
To be baptized?
to be baptized.
Really?
Yeah, right.
I was 18 months, I think.
Yeah, we get baptized as babies.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Well, the baby baptized first,
Yeah.
and then the second baby baptized,
Yeah.
and the other baptized is age of 18. They both are all allowable now, but we think the church people think age of 18 can choose themselves to decide their religion like this, right?
Very reasonable.
Right. Or over the age of 18, when they want to be baptized and ask pastor, I want to.
So
get
if there's a
baptized.
45-year-old ajashi, he says, I'm ready to be baptized?
Right.
But they don't have to take any classes or courses or anything?
Very simple course, but it's not important.
Did you do First Communion?
Yeah.
Confirmation?
Yep.
Altar boy?
No. Luckily.
I used to
Dodge the
hold the
bullet.
candles on the way up down the
really?
aisle with the priest. Oh yeah, I used to get the bread and the wine ready. Oh yeah. Now I don't think anybody would sign their kids up. The Catholic Church has gone.
Now without some jiu-jitsu lessons.
But so yeah, I just wondered, like, is it just like a come and go, like a pyeonijom, that just anybody comes and goes, or what's the saying? So
A lot of coming in.
now that we're on to, somebody told them all to go to Christian universities and become pastors. Now everybody has to open their own church.
I mean, I don't know how to say it. The course for being pastor.
Yeah.
The special university maybe.
Did you ever baptize anyone in the Taewagang?
But like growing up for us, nobody dreamed of being a pastor.
Oh really?
I mean, not like you say, where we open universities for them.
Speak for yourself.
I
sir.
mean, we have maybe a Christian or Catholic university here or there, but Korea has a lot. I think there's 30 or 40 Christian universities in Korea.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's a lot. I mean, compared to, but it wouldn't be that we have so many priests or pastors that we have to start opening up 7-Eleven churches on every corner.
Right.
It would just be, sorry, there's no job for you,
Right.
and you would work as a junior pastor, or you would do the youth sermons or the youth masses or something.
Right.
We would just make more services at the current churches. But like any job, people would say, "Hey, it's pretty saturated. There's a lot of pastors sitting around pumping gas at the gas station. Don't go be a pastor."
I want to know about how they're sustained financially. Is that funding from the government, from the members? Is there a special whatever tax that's allocated to sustaining churches in Korea? Because it seems like there's a lot of them.
Right. The church is run by only for the people's offerings, right?
The members.
The members.
The members contribute.
Yeah, right.
And
for that.
Okay.
For that.
What if they're not offering anything?
Like a university student, for example.
We can be poor, but it's running.
Yeah.
It's running. Yeah, right. When we were at first, when we founded the church, at the time we were very poor. So at that time, the church is run by pastors' money.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
Because pastor also very not a rich man, but he has some money at the time, so he run like this.
Okay.
Right, like this.
Cool.
Was he a pastor somewhere else before?
He was.
Or he became a pastor to
He
run
was
that?
an architect before. He has a job, architect. Right.
Then he just, I'm going to be a pastor?
Like this. He has a story.
So
like
he
this.
put the thing on, or he went to university?
It's very dramatic story for him.
Yeah.
He was architect, and one day it was a big, very how should I say it? big event in Ulsan because his mom was his mom had a bookstore. He was killed by robber at the time.
Oh, she was.
She was killed by robber at the time. It was a very big event in Ulsan, and it's the first page of the newspapers.
Wow.
Because nobody knows who did it.
Random.
Did it. Right.
Huh.
Right.
I've heard since we've been here almost 20 years. I've heard of like 2 murders in Ulsan in 20 years. Maybe kind of public murders. There was a girl who got stabbed at a bus stop like 10 years ago, and like 20 years ago there was that double killing. Maybe sisters got killed in some.
Really?
Other than that, I've never heard of thing. So I mean, shocking news that anyone's murdered.
So he had my pastor had a question every day. Why my mother, and who did it? And he lived with the question. And one day he found one day he decided to be a pastor. I don't know about the detailed story. But and
that was the genesis.
Yeah, right. He's a pastor, and 5 or 6 years ago, one day, the police called to the pastor that he said, "We got the criminal. We got the."
Wow! They found him.
Yeah, found him.
Wow.
Yeah. But the pastor at the time, he actually, the time, how should I say, it's a criminal term. The time for the
statute of limitations.
It was passed.
So they can't.
Yeah, right.
Prosecute him.
And
it's time for some godly vengeance.
Right. At the time, pastor had one question. Why did you do that?
Yeah.
Why did you do that? And then. He didn't want to see the criminal in person, and then police asked instead, and the police said, he had a mental problem like this, mental problem, and he thought that the criminal thought that if I kill the person who has a trust, who has a strong faith, I can be in heaven like this.
Oh my!
That's why he chose the mother of my pastor.
Wow!
Right.
That's
I thought you were going to end with now he's a member at the church.
No.
He's a guest speaker on Tuesdays.
That's the biggest act of forgiveness ever.
Yeah, right. And the pastor finally forgave him like this.
I mean, so this is very different than what you told us previously with the amount of people going to the Christian universities. Now they're opening lots of churches. This is, I'm an architect, had this calling, and now he became a pastor. And can you, I mean, we should have maybe touched on it at the beginning that you are one of the founders. You said 25, 26?
28.
28, one of the 28 founders of this church. And it's a fairly small church. How many members in your congregation, maybe? How many parishioners? How many people? Members of your church?
Now?
Members, yeah.
It's about 70.
70.
So far,
so just for perspective, so people understand. So 70 people, 28 founders. How does this come about? How did you get involved as a founder? Is it just Brian and our friends and I having a beer one night and we say, hey, we're older now, let's start a church. Bring 5 more guys each and we'll have a committee. And can you talk us through that process of how to start a church?
Right. My hometown is near Seoul, not in Ulsan. I came here for getting a job, and then I found one church, a big church in Ulsan, Ulsan 시민교회. Do you know that? In Ulsan 시민교회. I was the member of that, and then my pastor want to found a new church, and then. At that time, I didn't know my pastor, who my pastor is. I just I just like to listen to his preaching because the preaching is based on the Bible. Yeah. I like that, and then
he's a sort of harvester.
Yeah, right. Maybe yes.
Man, harvesting in Canada means wheat. Wheat
really?
and soybeans. Yeah.
Poacher.
Korean harvesting is a little different.
All right.
Only jokes, but
Yeah, right. He wanted to be. He wanted to make. He wanted to make his own church. Yeah. And, I at that time I said okay, pastor, have a great church, and I'll be here, you're there, okay, like this. But after that, it's like I can say it's a calling from God in my heart. In my heart, one voice. It's not a real voice. One voice is in my heart. Okay, be with the pastor, help the pastor, like this. So at first I denied it. Why me? Why me? But a big strong, it was a strong calling, and I accept the calling in my heart, and I go there. I went there together, and pastor said when he saw me at first, the pastor said, "Why did you come here like this?" So I said, "I don't know. My heart had a strong calling to you." At that time, I could be a member of the church. Like
is this the original location over here?
Actually, at first it's near the university, the main entrance. It's a smaller church. It's
So
second floor.
when he says I'm going to start my own church, does that mean he's going to go do Jeonse or Wolse on a building, put a sign up, and say welcome?
Yeah, right. Like this. We were on the second floor of the small building. And then at the time 26 university students and two workers at the time. So I said, Pastor, I want to be the member and I want to live in the church. So
Wow.
yeah, right. At the time, I think that if I live in the church, I don't pay for the rent like this.
How old were you at the time? Or how long ago was this?
29 years at the time, and I was in the church for 1 year, right? Like
Wow.
this,
Strong commitment.
yeah,
strong
dedication.
commitment, right.
And so how has it grown from the 26 there to the 70?
Actually, the founders, 28 founders, almost gone. Only only three founders remain now, and other 65 or 66 people are newcomers.
Oh.
Right.
So what does the founder mean? You take an oath, or you get a tattoo, or you put in Otaman on, or what does it mean, the founder?
Branding.
We come together at first. That's the founder. We have a photo when we have our first service.
So he did a Jeonse on a building, and he goes, "Okay, boys, let's go. Everybody in."
No. Anyone who want to be who want to live in the church, and pastor accepted.
So there was 28 of you living in the church?
At first, yes.
Wow.
At first, yes.
Cool.
Yes, right.
He's like Elon Musk,
It's
living in the Tesla building.
well, we were very fun. Strong ball day. We were very fun. We get together and hang out.
Can women be a founder?
Sure. Yes.
But there wasn't.
Half of members were women.
The founders?
Yeah, right. So we live separately. Second floor is men's
Quarters?
Yeah, right. And third floor is women's.
Like a sauna.
Right. Like this. Like we live together, sleep together. Men sleep together. Women sleep together like this. It's like a small dormitory.
Yeah.
So it's very good. Very fun.
I think it's
Wow.
something. I think generally people are apprehensive to join, to inquire, to do whatnot. Something I really a very overlooked aspect of churches, especially the small one like yours, from a different perspective. Like basically, when you were living in the church, you're hanging out with like 28 of your buddies every day.
Right.
That's
right,
cool. And now you guys have grown to start your own families, and I think most of your weekends, I imagine, are spent at the church. And it's not like a party, but I mean, you're just meeting your neighborhood friends all the time. What a great way to spend time, just hanging out with the people that are close to you, that you
It's kind of what I mentioned, right? On the way out, like the kids all seem like they're cousins.
Oh, yeah, right.
And they get
right.
together all the time, and they seem like a real family, kind of.
Right,
Like
right.
like a bunch of cousins hanging out.
Yeah.
What are the goals of the church? You said there's only 3 founders left. You have now I mean, you have a pretty decent setup. You have 3 floors, 4 floors,
4 floors.
4 floors.
The full building, man.
What are the goals of the church? Is it to grow into a big church, a super church? Is it just keep it small and contained? What's the 5 years, 10 years later? What do you think? You're going to have your own church, or?
The number is not important so far, but the importance is to be disciples of Jesus. That's our goal. Goal. That's also the point of my pastor's teaching strategy like this. So he teaches how Jesus lives in this earth like this.
But if you look 10 years down the road, do you think you'll still be in that building, or do you hope to have a more modern building or a standalone building with a parking lot? Or
actually, my dream for my church is to have a worship in the stadium. Actually,
in the stadium,
a big stadium.
Munsu,
yeah, right.
Nice.
This is Joel Osteen. Do you know Joel Osteen? Is that
Joel
Osteen? Joel Osteen. Yeah,
like that.
Yeah, I knew that. That was my dream. But
and you come in by helicopter with the pastor? Wow, that would be cool.
That would be cool. That was cool.
I think they could do that in Seoul with the mega churches, right?
There were some mega churches in
Seoul too.
In Seoul, right?
I know there's lots in Atlanta for some reason. I think
Seoul has the biggest church in the world, I believe.
Really?
Yeah.
You're right.
How many do they pack in there?
It's the pastor's name is Jo Hyung-gi, and I went to the Brazil for working for 6 months. And then I attended a Brazil church, and one of the church members asking me, "Do you know Jo Hyung-gi?" And I had a book. I have a book about his story like this. His church was mega church, and he was when he was young, he prayed 9 hours a day.
Yeah. Look what happened.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he's got a stadium.
Yeah,
oh,
right.
wow.
Stadium.
Yoido Gospel Church. Yoido Full Gospel Church.
Right.
Weekly attendance 200,000.
Whoa!
Membership 800,000.
Yeah, right.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah, right.
That's wow.
And he died. No, he passed away.
I want to see him give $1 to
Senior
every
Pastor
person.
Lee Young-un. Pastors 526.
Oh, really?
526 pastors?
Holy
pastors.
shit. That's insane.
Wow.
Can you imagine giving $1 to everyone that shows up there? Here's $1 and a bologna sandwich. Oh, Christ.
No, imagine everybody giving the church $1.
Insane.
Crushing.
You guys got
that's a mega church.
making it rain.
Well, that's why they have to. That's why they need so many Christian universities for all these kids to go to.
Sure.
But that's what I think. Like when you're in those ones, it's like a big, a whole atmosphere you're part of, right? Like because it's so big and intense and.
But look at when you're at if you're watching our kids play soccer, it's fun. We got 10, 15 parents watching. When you go to Munsu and watch it, there's a feeling like the whole crowd is kind of vibing together. And imagine that, mixed with faith or a church. It's very moving or powerful.
Right.
I think it's more like a social status in Seoul, where I'm from the Yoido church. Oh,
really?
I'm from Yoido church. Oh,
yeah. Right.
I'm from Mr. Kim's church. Huh?
Right.
Why did you say like no?
I see that.
I don't mean people would be embarrassed, but they wouldn't bring it up. But
Maybe,
in
yeah.
Seoul, if you're part of it, everybody knows the church. Everybody knows what it's like, whatever. So it's just a common thing. Maybe people are a little more proud or not so shy to talk about it. Maybe
I see that here with people put that on their door. If I visit someone's house,
right.
they have like
Right.
I'm Momo Church. I'm
Right.
Momo Church.
We can say it's a church power like this.
Yeah.
Church name value.
so. Your name value. Here we go.
Brand building. Yeah.
So that's the one, to build it into a place of worship that will one day host a service at Munsu Stadium.
You can.
Does Munsu have to be full or
Actually,
just the 75?
Actually, the dream was gone, but I loved it at that time. I loved it, right?
Good.
I imagine that. The many people are at the church and at the stadium, and pastor preaching or some strong band playing the gospel song like this.
I have maybe one or two before we wrap up here. when you have that small congregation, I've seen various different ones. They're usually just a room with like 50 or 60 chairs. If somebody's not there, everybody knows. What is that like? When I was in church, we had 7 people in my family, so people knew because we're 7 people. But if Mrs. Johnson didn't come, maybe it wasn't so obvious. Then my mom and dad walking 5 ducklings into the church. But at a church where there's only how many people on an average Sunday? 70? All 70 come?
70, right? 70 or
so. I mean,
right.
You know who sits where, and if Mr. Kim's not here.
Sure. We know.
So what is that? Does everybody send him a message? Are you okay? Is everything all right? Or
yeah, right. If I absent one day, then 40 or 45 text messages come from the church members.
We prayed for you. We're praying for you.
Then I explain the same word to every people.
The cacao chat. Yeah.
So I wonder about the privacy. I wonder about the privacy part of it because. Like everybody knows there's only this many of us. Everybody knows everything about everybody. But I mean, I don't know.
Depends how you view it. That could be security for some. And
if you did go out for a heshik and were hung over 2 weeks in a row, like, are you going to get in trouble from the congregation?
You're going to drink the holy water. It's like Dan Pargong Par.
Actually, it's like each side of the coin. So sometimes my wife explained to the church members, okay, my husband has some work today. So
that means that you had a fight. My wife says, well, we have to go together because if we don't go together, everybody's going to be talking. Oh, they're getting divorced. Oh, they're not talking. Oh, they had a big fight. Like, huh? No, just tell them I'm busy playing hockey or something.
Right.
No, we have to go together.
Yeah, right. Like sometimes they understood it. People like this.
One of my concerns would be the lack of privacy or people trying to know too much about your personal life.
Yeah, right. That's one of the my concern as well. And also I accepted that issues. Okay, people understand me. I know people in the church, and people also know me, and they also knows my private things, some private things. I accept that. So sometimes. It's very hard to understand, but still accept like this.
I think if you got a drunk driving charge in a big church, nobody hears about nobody, whatever. But at your church, everybody would know exactly what happened.
Yeah, right.
Sure.
By the way, do you know why the Christian in Korea don't accept drinking alcohol?
Why they don't?
Okay.
Here's the story.
Because we used to go to Wabar or wherever we'd go for a drink, and sometimes we would talk to other people in the bar, and I can't tell you how many times a girl would say, "Hey, would you like a drink?" "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm Christian." And I'm like, "Huh? Well, you've been Christian for like 10 years. You just joined last week, but." My whole country's Christian, and we all drink.
Oh, right. Actually,
don't tell me, teach me.
I'm not the very rigid person for the drinking alcohol. But at first, when the missionary come to Korea, and it's a story I have heard. The missionary want to gather people at church, and at that time they used to give alcohol, the beers, and then the Korean people like beer, like alcohol.
Yeah.
So get together and they drink together and fight. Because of the alcohol.
Yeah,
they fight,
okay.
Right. So pastor decided, okay, this country can fight if they drunk.
Yeah.
So the missionary said, okay, when we get together, when we bring the people at the church, don't allow drink alcohol at church. This is the first story.
Interesting.
It's because of fighting.
And after we do First Communion, maybe your second baptism, we get baptized, First Communion, confirmation in the Catholic Church, then we can drink the wine at church. And my mom would tell us, boys, don't drink all the wine. So we would think, well, if I'm going, I might as well have a good chug of wine. But mom would say, don't drink all the wine.
Slow down their purple teeth.
We drink wine at church.
Yeah.
Every community, how should I say? Communion.
Communion.
We drink real wine.
Yeah.
Real wine.
Yeah.
The blood of Christ.
Right.
Okay.
The meaning of that.
Promise the last one.
Okay.
The guys at my church, and when I was teaching businessmen at SK and Hyundai, they would come in really, really tired for 7, 8 a.m. classes. And I go to the park at 6 in the morning, and I see people from my apartment coming home. Where did you go? And they go to church at 4 in the morning.
Oh, right.
This is biblical, and I don't know if it's related to Lent or something else, but do you guys do that? And why do people go to church at 4? I don't know anybody. I'm sure there are, but I never knew of anyone who went to church at 4 a.m. when we were. And my dad could never go to church at 4 in the morning.
It's also Korean culture and Christian Korean culture because we have a morning service. It's not a morning; it's a dawn service. Like
I don't mind a 10 a.m. morning service, but 4 a.m.
dawn service. So
Morning's different for everyone.
yeah, right. For 5 p.m. 5 a.m. Every church has the same system. 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. It's a morning. It's more preachy and pray a lot like this.
But it's not just during Easter or something around Easter or a time of sacrifice or something, no?
No, it's every day we have like this service.
Because these guys told me, I think it's for 2 months or 1 month or 5 weeks or something that they have to do this.
Yeah, right. It's like a special time. Like Jesus prayed for 40 days in the mountain. And like this, we follow the rule.
Okay.
So during that period, people are very tired. Very tired. Like this.
Oh, I got one more. Do you know Korean Jesus? Have you ever seen Korean Jesus?
Really?
No.
I haven't heard the Korean Jesus from Shincheonji. No.
No. I mean, dude.
I don't know if he's joking or what he's doing.
No. I swear to God, it's the cross, and it was a pastor. I should have got his name before, but I remember Korean Jesus, and he's on the cross. It's a huge statue, and he's just jacked.
Really?
He's just like Arnold
Muscles.
Schwarzenegger with like stuck on the cross. Have you seen that?
Oh
Oh my God!
Really?
Oh, I'll send the
need to
picture.
find out
after.
on the internet.
Korean
Okay.
Jesus. It's the funniest.
Okay.
It's like Jesus did all the steroids.
Oh, the
And he
strong
just-
ones, they can come in like this and go back down there.
I was thinking
land.
it's funny, like the Stations of the Cross.
Oh no.
Stations like where Jesus has to carry the cross, and like Station 1, like he's holding the cross. Station 2, he falls down. It's around the Catholic Church.
Yeah, right.
And I thought that maybe that was mistranslated in Korean Jesus. That was just his workout plan. Jesus squats the cross. Jesus.
This
Jesus
is very
does,
funny one. I need to see.
Well, I'll send a picture to you.
Listen,
Jesus does plyometrics.
We're running out of time here. Appreciate you coming on and sharing with us because I learned a lot today. I really appreciate it. Maybe we have to have you back on again to talk about some of your other endeavors here. But I just want to say thanks a lot, and I'm sure people will have a better insight now into the small churches and how they come about and function, etc. So, thank you very much. Really appreciate the time.
Thank you. I was very enjoyable.
You might be a couple minutes late for class, but
Do you want what is the name of the church before we cut out in case we can help you recruit?
Thanks very much. All Generations Church. All Generations
Church.
In Korea, 모든 세대 교회.
And what's the Instagram?
All Gen. It's
All Gen.
At All Gen.
Okay.
All Gen.
All Generations Church.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. You better get to class.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah.
It's a very fun time.
Thanks for listening. We'll catch you guys next time. Bye-bye.